Good evening. This is the Canadian dollar price chart relative to the American dollar. On the top corner here, you'll see US dollar slash Canadian dollar. The first unit here is always the denominator, the one, and then think of this as equals the Canadian dollar. And the unit on the end here, the second unit is the variable. So it's going to be the denominator. I think I got that right. So this is the long-term chart of the Canadian dollar. We're going all the way back to 2008 here. This orange line is par. It's basically one Canadian dollar or one US dollar equals one Canadian dollar. And the Canadian dollar actually strengthened for a couple of years between 2009 and 2014. And then we had a bit of a violent move to the upside here from halfway, it must have been summertime 2014, where the Canadian dollar was just above par in terms of value versus the American dollar, and subsequently moved to almost $1.50 for every US dollar. So the way that this works is the higher the price on the chart, the weaker the Canadian dollar. You can imagine that at par, you're going to get 1 for 1, and at $1.50 for every 1 US dollar you will get 1.5 Canadian dollars. As this chart moves up, if it ever moves up drastically, you can substitute that number in for any number you like, just to kind of give you a clear picture of that exchange. So, if it happens to be 10 here on the chart on the right-hand side, you'd have 1 US dollar giving you 10 Canadian dollars, which would be very, very weak and on par with some other more exotic currencies like the Russian ruble, which I believe is 1 US dollar for 65 rubles or somewhere in that neighborhood. I can check that out another time. So one of the trends I was following for a long time is this blue trend line. You can see the price kind of bounced off there, and then it broke down. And it broke down from that level. So the Canadian dollar's been kind of consolidating here along this $1.30 mark for a while. Obviously, this line here looks like a bit of a magnet. There's lots of support here. That's what this other blue line shows. And in fact, going back to 2009, you can see that this was a bit of a major top here at the 130 mark. So some support there along this line, and I'll continue to watch this and see how things play out. I may do a video in the future zoomed in a little bit more, maybe on the last 3 years or so, and get a bit of another picture that way. But for the time being, this is the way the Canadian dollar is playing out, and we will keep our eyes on it. Have a good evening.